Vietnam Exposed, Episode 1, Lockdown Shadows, a Saigon Story. Narrator, Yu, Xinjiao. Hello. And welcome to Vietnam Exposed. I'm your host. A Saigon native. A storyteller. And someone who's lived through moments I never thought I'd see, moments so raw. So real. They've stayed with me like shadows I can't shake. This is a channel where I'll pull back the curtain on stories from Vietnam, some you've never heard. Some that hit close to home. And all of them true. I've seen these things with my own eyes. Felt them in my bones. And today, I'm ready to share them with you. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because these aren't just tales. They're pieces of a city, a people, and a time that deserve to be remembered. Let's dive into the first story, a chapter from Saigon. May 2021. When the world turned upside down. This is Lockdown Shadows. Chapter 1, The Quiet Before the Storm. Picture this, Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. Early 2021. If you've never been here, imagine a place that hums like a beehive, motorbikes weaving through streets. Vendors shouting about their pho or banh mi. Kids laughing as they chase each other past neon signs. It's loud. It's chaotic. It's alive. I lived in a modest apartment on the edge of the city. In one of those towering concrete blocks that dot the skyline, nothing fancy. Just a place to call home. My neighborhood was tight-knit. The kind where you nod at the same faces every morning. Where the lady downstairs sells coffee so strong it could wake a coma patient. Life was good, not perfect, but good. Then came the whispers. Rumors about a virus creeping closer. We'd heard about it, COVID-19. This invisible enemy that had already torn through places far away. But in Vietnam, we'd dodged the worst of it for a while. Our government was strict. Our people disciplined. Masks were normal. Lockdowns were quick. We thought we had it under control. Until we didn't. By May 2021, the whispers turned into shouts. The Delta variant hit Saigon like a storm nobody saw coming. Hospitals started filling up. Streets that never slept went quiet. And then, one morning, I woke up to a phone buzzing with messages. Someone in our building tested positive. My heart sank. I peeked out my window. And there it was, yellow tape stretching across the entrance. Police in hazmat suits barking orders. Neighbors peering from balconies with wide, scared eyes. Our apartment block, all 15 floors of it, was locked down. 2 weeks. They said. No one in. No one out. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't ready for this. None of us were. In Saigon, we're used to hustling, moving, surviving. But now, we were trapped, caged in our own homes, waiting for news that could mean life or death. Chapter 2, The Fear Sets In. The first day was surreal. I stood at my window, watching delivery guys drop bags at the gate, groceries, water, anything people could scramble to order. Inside, we rationed what we had. I had rice in the cupboard. Some fish sauce. A few spices. Lucky for me, I had friends, brothers, really, who didn't hesitate to help. One guy, Tuan, lived a few blocks away. He'd sneak as close as the police line allowed and toss me a bag of ram wong, water spinach, and a slab of pork. Hang in there, man, he'd yell, before disappearing into the haze. Another friend, Lin, dropped off a sack of rice so heavy I nearly threw my back out dragging it upstairs. But even with their help, the fear gnawed at me. See, in Saigon back then, getting sick wasn't just about a fever or a cough. If you tested positive, they'd come for you. White vans would roll up. Doors would slam. And you'd be whisked off to a quarantine camp, big, crowded places where beds lined up like soldiers and the air smelled of bleach and despair. We'd heard stories. Some people walked out after weeks. Weak but alive. Others didn't come back at all. It wasn't their fault. And it wasn't always the doctor's fault either. The virus was ruthless. And the system was overwhelmed. In our building, the infected person was gone by day 2. A middle-aged woman from the 5th floor, quiet, kept to herself. I didn't know her well, but I'd seen her watering plants on her balcony. Now her apartment was empty, sealed with tape. A ghost of what it had been. The rest of us, we were left wondering who'd be next. The worst part was the testing. On day 4, they called us down, everyone, floor by floor. I'll never forget the scene, dozens of us shuffling into the courtyard. Masks pulled tight, keeping 6 feet apart like we'd been trained. Nurses in full PPE waved us forward, swabs in hand. My neighbor, an old man named Bakhai, trembled as he waited his turn. "If they take me," he whispered, "tell my daughter I love her." I nodded. But what could I say? We were all scared. One wrong swab, one red line on a test, and you were gone. My turn came. The swab went up my nose, sharp, cold, like a needle poking my brain. I held my breath. Not from the pain, but from the dread. They told us results would come in 24 hours. That night, I barely slept. Every creak of the building, every siren in the distance, felt like a countdown. Chapter 3, The Lucky Ones. The next day, a megaphone crackled to life outside. "All residents, your results are clear. Remain in lockdown until day 14. Relief washed over me like rain after a drought. I wasn't sick. Not yet. But the lockdown stretched on. And the walls started closing in. 2 weeks sounds short, right? Try living it with no fresh air, no sunlight, just the hum of your own thoughts and the occasional shout from a neighbor's TV. I got lucky, though. My friends kept me fed. My test stayed negative. And after 14 days, the tape came down. I stepped outside for the first time. And the air, humid, thick with the smell of motorbike exhaust, felt like freedom. But as I looked around, I saw a different Saigon. The streets were empty. Shops were shuttered. The city I loved was holding its breath. And I knew this wasn't over. That's when it hit me, not everyone was as lucky as I was. Out there, beyond my building, people were suffering. Families in tiny rented rooms. Workers who lived day to day. They couldn't order food online or lean on friends like I did. If they couldn't work, they couldn't eat. And in the quarantine zones, I'd heard rumors, people begging for rice, kids crying for milk, whole blocks cut off from the world. I couldn't just sit back. I had to do something. Chapter 4, The Call to Action. I picked up my phone and called Tune. "Brother," I said, "we've got to help. There are people out there who don't have what we have." He didn't hesitate. "Count me in." Then I rang Lynn. And she was on board too. We started small, just the 3 of us, pooling what cash we had to buy rice, fish sauce, whatever we could get our hands on. But word spread fast. Soon, a couple of journalists I knew, Min and Hoa, joined us. They had connections, farmers in the provinces, wholesalers who could get us bulk goods at dirt cheap prices. We turned into a ragtag crew. A little army of do-gooders in a city under siege. Our mission? Get food to the people who needed it most. Saigon was a patchwork of lockdowns back then, some neighborhoods sealed tight, others half open but starving. We targeted the boarding houses, those cramped clusters of rooms where migrant workers and students lived. These were the invisible ones, no savings, no safety net, just grit and hope. Our first run was chaos. Min scored a truckload of rice and veggies from Long An province, 50 kilos of rice, sacks of potatoes, bundles of greens still damp with morning dew. The driver couldn't enter the city, so we met him at a checkpoint. Masks on, hands gloved. Picture this, 5 of us, office workers, not laborers, unloading that truck like we'd been dock workers all our lives. My arms burned. My shirt stuck to my back. But every sack we hauled felt like a lifeline. We split the goods into bags, 5 kilos of rice, a handful of greens, a bottle of fish sauce. Simple stuff. But to someone who hadn't eaten in days, it was gold. Then we piled into Tuan's beat-up van, dodging police patrols, weaving through back streets to reach the lockdown zones. At one stop, a row of tin-roofed rooms near District 7, a woman ran out, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she choked out, clutching a bag to her chest. "My kids haven't eaten since yesterday." Her voice cracked. And so did something inside me. Chapter 5, The weight of it all. Days turned into weeks. And our little group grew. Friends of friends pitched in, cash, food, even a motorbike to haul supplies. We weren't heroes. Trust me. We were tired, sweaty, scared half the time. But Saigon has this spirit: you don't give up on your own. I'd grown up hearing stories of my grandparents surviving war, famine, floods. This was our fight now. And we weren't backing down. Every run brought new stories. There was Uncle Bar, a cyclo driver with hands like leather, who'd lost his income when the streets emptied. We found him sitting outside his room, staring at nothing. "I've lived through worse," he said, taking a bag of rice with a nod. "But this silence, it's heavier than bombs." Then there was a college kid stuck in a dorm. Her parents 300 kilometers away. She wrote us a note: "You're my family now. Don't forget me." The hardest days were when we couldn't reach everyone. One time, we got a call about a quarantine camp near Bintan, hundreds of people. No food for 2 days. We scrambled, loaded the van. But the police turned us back. "Restricted area," they said. I argued until my voice gave out. But they wouldn't budge. That night, I couldn't sleep, picturing those faces we'd failed. Chapter 6, The light in the dark. But there were bright spots too. One evening, as we unpacked a shipment, a kid, no more than 10, ran up with a handful of wildflowers he'd picked from a ditch. "For you," he grinned, shoving them into Lynn's hands. His mum, a street vendor, had gotten one of our bags the day before. It wasn't much, those flowers, but it felt like a thank you bigger than words. And us? We kept going. By late 2021, Saigon started to breathe again. Lockdowns eased. Shops reopened. Life crept back. Our group disbanded, not because we wanted to, but because the need wasn't as desperate. I went back to my desk job. Tuan to his, Lynn to hers. But those months, they changed us. I've got more stories from that time, tales of loss, hope, and everything in between. They're not easy to tell, but they're real, and I'm here to share them with you, one by one, on Vietnam Exposed. Narrator, you. That's it for today's story, Lockdown Shadows. If it hit you, if it moved you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to Vietnam Exposed, hit that bell, and join me as I uncover more truths from this corner of the world. These aren't just my stories, they're Saigon's, Vietnam's, and maybe even yours. Next time, I'll take you deeper, more heartbreak, more grit, more of the stuff that makes us human. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you soon. CAM on. Thank you, and good night.